Welcome. We're going to be talking about developing an all-star team, kind of asking some questions of the panel. Just going over kind of what the thought process indication was of why are you building a team, how are you starting to build a team, and kind of implementing that. So let you guys kind of introduce yourselves. Darren, if you want to kick it off.
Yep. Darren Dowling in Sarasota, Florida with Beyond Realty. I launched at the start of March, and we've grown the team out now as of Tuesday up to 8 agents.
I'm Kali McManus, and I am in South Orange County, California with Monarch Real Estate. I started with Side a little over a year ago, and am very methodically building my team.
What's up, everybody? Ricky J. Alvarez, Ricky the Realtor with Boulevard Real Estate. We launched July of 2019, and as of this month, super proud to say I have started my own team, Alvarez and Associates. 6 members, 1 admin, 1 assistant, social media manager, and 3 brand new agents.
That's awesome. Did you end up putting the tequila under everyone's seats, like you said?
Tequila did have a big part of recruiting. I'll talk a little bit about that.
I was talking about the tequila under everybody's seats here.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that.
All right, fair enough. Okay, well, let's jump into it. Darren, so what helped you determine it was time to start recruiting?
So I kind of held off. I wanted to grow a team at the previous brokerage I was at, and just down to splits, royalty fees, and all of that stuff, it just wouldn't be profitable. So that's where the discussions with Side and the structure there came about. So literally started building the team proper in March, as soon as it was full gas, working with the recruiting department and everything there. And the main reason I was desperate to start a team was my lead gen. I use Sierra Interactive as my IDX website, and with GGMS for Google, Google pay-per-click, and it was bringing in a ridiculous amount of leads a month, and it was too much for me to handle. So it was time to scale, and all the tools and everything within Side have allowed me to do that.
Awesome. Yeah, the kind of having an abundance of leads tends to be a lot of people's reason for starting their team. And what CRM was it you said you were using?
So I'm using Sierra Interactive.
And that's where you're doing marketing through that to generate those leads?
Yeah, so they partner with, they have their own marketing side, but I choose to go with GGMS. They're out of Tampa, Florida, so it's just up the road from me. And they use a lot of AI, text messages, and just, it's really robust. And even just from switching from Sync over to Sierra, the re-engagement campaign they had, literally it was overwhelming. And a number of the agents, as soon as they started with the swap, converted deals, and they were cold leads. So
that's awesome.
It's really robust, conversion-heavy tech.
Okay, very cool. And I didn't mention in the beginning, but you're going to be sharing with everybody your checklist, right? The Beyond method for listings at the end of this?
Yeah, if everyone, I don't know how we can...
We can do it over email.
Yeah, over email, Darren at Beyond Realty FL for Florida.com, and I will send you it over. It's not fully finished yet, but it'll give you a good idea, and I may even just Google Drive a link, and that way you'll just get the updated version as I improve it.
That'd be awesome. Ricky, let's go to you next. So what has been your strategy around building your team? And I think probably the best thing would be the strategy with location of each person.
Yeah, to be honest, it kind of just came to fruition. Never in my mind would I think that I'd be in this chair talking to you guys and sharing my journey. And more than anything, it was a great phone call that I got from my business manager that said, "Hey, you qualify for this program with Side, and you can create your own team." And I was like, and I'm always very, very humble about my accolades and everything that I achieve. And for me, it was kind of like eye-opening, like, wow, like this is the time. And I've always been a firm believer that you don't know where you're going unless you know where you've been. And I've always been an open book and had some amazing mentors throughout my career, 7-year career in real estate. And so I always like to pay it forward. And so for me, I'm part of a huge Latino fraternity throughout the country. And for me, it was always, guys and friends and colleagues reaching out to me, always asking for help. And I was just very open and willing to do that, and willing to share my story and share everything with people. And one of my fraternity brothers is sitting here, and one of my new agents is sitting right here as well. And we just connected. I helped them, and always willing to just kind of be very honest and transparent with them. And I think that allowed me to attract people that know and like me, and wanted to build that culture of people who there is no drama, there's no BS. We come to work, we want to strive for the best, and we kind of just create that environment. And for me, I knew that I needed to start a team when I wasn't doing things I liked. And for me, I love the human interaction. I love meeting people, so that's why I always come to these events and like to network with other agents as well. They're high caliber, and learn from them, and also be able to bring that back to my team. So for me, it's like there was a point where I couldn't jump on the road and be on the road for 2 hours. I couldn't go drive out to Sacramento to show a property. I couldn't drive to the South Bay to show a property. I think it all just kind of worked out that a lot of my agents were in different markets.
Now, couldn't or wouldn't?
Say that again?
Couldn't or wouldn't drive that far?
I wouldn't. I don't want to drive that far anymore.
Yeah, now that traffic's
with
back,
all the traffic's
not.
back, of course. I mean, for me, it's like I don't have a Tesla. It doesn't drive for itself. I can't be productive on the road. I can make phone calls. I can do a little bit of lead gen and follow up with clients and all that good stuff. But I wasn't comfortable doing those things anymore. And I also felt I was doing a disservice to my clients. I wasn't focused on those markets, and I couldn't stretch myself that far. And now, my goal is to assist my agents in different markets and be able to help them drive lead generation to them, and then be successful in their own markets and be experts in their own markets. So it's crazy just how it all happened, but for me now it's just a huge benefit. Now I have folks in the South Bay, North Bay, and probably areas I'll never even visit. But to be honest with you, now I'm able to bring back all these tools, all this knowledge that I'm able to get from folks outside, folks in the industry, bring that back to my team and help them be successful as well.
So it sounds like initially you said qualified, that your business manager had mentioned that you're qualified to build a team. Did they share what the qualification was like, or kind of what the indicator was for that?
Yeah, I think it's called the extended offering wood side. Last night I got mixed answers on what exactly it is, but from my understanding, if you do 10 million in sales in less than 12 months, you qualify for that extended offering. And so now you're able to build your team, create your own brand at your own brokerage. And so for me, it was extremely humbling, and really made me realize that I am getting to that point now where I know this well enough to be able to teach it. And for me, I mean, that's probably one of the most beautiful things, that if you know something very well, you're able to help people achieve, and hopefully maybe even achieve bigger goals in yourself. That's always going to be, extremely gratifying to be able to see people succeed with some of the insight and tools, and more than anything, not reinvent the wheel. Like, my agent shouldn't have to go through the BS that I went through, and be able to kind of, like we were talking about earlier, Austin, is like a lot of the stuff you guys have been the test dummies for. Why not?
Yeah, we guinea pig it.
Yeah,
we
guinea
spend the
pig it.
money to learn.
Exactly.
It's
So
really
why not
learning what
share
we
that?
failed
Yeah.
at.
Exactly.
Like, not doing the things that, it's not even telling them exactly what's going to work. We at least know what's not going to work most times, and being able to kind of introduce the things we learn from those failures, and allowing them to at least, they get to fail faster than we did to get to kind of where the production is at. Are you doing a lot of outreach to recruit people, or is it more so attraction based?
It's been very organic, and I think more than anything, it's just my social media presence, me being extremely genuine, willing to share and be an open book, has really had people have gravitated towards me, which is also a very, very inspiring thing. And just, for me, it's extremely humbling, because, I don't like to, I am a social butterfly. I like to hang out and talk and whatnot, but it's different when people come to you for guidance.
Yeah.
And one of my buddies was telling me, "Oh, you're like my mentor." I'm like, "No, we're associates. We're on the same level." But at the same point, like he was making last night, he goes, "You are my mentor. You are giving me this advice." And one of the agents, I don't know if he's in this room, but last night, it's like, "Dude, you're talking just like a mentor right now." And I'm like, I mean, it is what it is. But, you know, I like to make my team feel like we're on the same playing field. Like, I don't want them to look at me and be like, oh, that's our fearless leader, that's our leader. Like, we're all part of the same team. We're all going to go through our ups and downs. And more than anything, if I can teach you guys anything and you guys can make money and be successful, like, I tell everybody that comes and works for me, I always tell them one day I'm going to be working for you, because that's my goal, is to have them be better than I ever was, or am, I should say.
That goes along, I think, with a lot of the teams. Deanna Whip said something yesterday to me as we were talking, that I think what's missing from a lot of people's teams outside of side, at least from what I've experienced personally, is the team lead or the owner of the company tends to kind of the guy that's carrying the team or pulling the team or forcing them to kind of do things. Deanna's ideology is that the team is above her, that she serves the team, and I think that's the same thing that Guy and Ed and Hillary have been talking about this entire event. So I like that as far as the training and all that.
Thank you.
Khalid?
Yeah.
So you're Southern California, Orange County, right next to us. What did you have to kind of shift or change in the structure of your company in order to build your team, or start to build your team?
Yeah. Well, so I am kind of unique in that I was always on my own. I never had like a broker interaction for myself. And I built a very big, strong business that is just too much for me to handle. And I made some mistakes. I tried having a lot of assistants to help me, but then it was just more for me to manage. I tried having a couple new agents that, again, I had to manage. So I found with Side and joining and understanding, I'm moving from being a big agent myself to being a company, and I need to take a step back. So I found I'm very particular about agents. I think we all know there's a lot of crappy ones out there. So when I do a transaction with someone, and I really appreciate their professionalism, their style, those are the people I ask to join my team. And that has been very successful for me. They appreciate being appreciated, and I think that they see a big agent with a lot of growth, and they can jump on the coattails, take things. Somebody said yesterday, they're my partners, like not just people on my team with my ego, but they're my partners in my business. And when you start to see it like that, instead of competition, you know, why would I hand you my clients? Well, because we're in it together, and I think that'll help retain them as well.
I love the fact that you're picking people that you've already done business with, and you understand that they actually know what they're doing. What is when you're asking them, say, in a transaction or after the transaction, are you inviting them to the office to kind of hang out and talk a little bit more about that, or are you just, after closing, bring it up I'd love to talk a little bit further about potentially having you come on board with our company?
So I've done both. The lady I'm bringing on, hopefully next week, it's kind of a funny story, but she and her husband bought a house from me that I had on the market with 37 offers. It was crazy. And she said, I want to work with you directly. You'll keep the commission, but I want this house, and you help me get it. And in a very ethical, professional way, I was able to do that. And she handled herself magnificently through the entire transaction, so much that I then handed her my $2.5 million client to go do a deal in Irvine as a referral. And again, she handled herself really well. And I just kept dropping the hint as we were going and how impressed I was with her. And she speaks Mandarin, which is helpful in Irvine, and so I am bringing her on my team.
What a way to kick it off. What'd you say, 2.9?
2.5.
2.5.
Yeah.
So now every month you have to give her something over $2 million.
I don't know. Let's hope.
It's like 6 deals for some markets.
I know. Oh, yeah, Florida. Sorry.
Awesome. Well, thank you. Darren, I think a lot of people have a really hard time picking out what the first hire looks like, whether it's a virtual assistant, it's the buyer's agent, it's the listing partner, whatever it is. What did your first hire look like, or the original kind of staffing at your company, and would you do it different now?
So I'll take a little bit of a step back, and so people get context on why, what, how, from a process standpoint. So started real estate 5 years ago, and in 2018, I had my best year ever. But I also had my biggest mental breakdown of, oh my God, I'm having all this success. I can't handle it anymore. And I can remember just pulling over to the side of the road and just having an anxiety attack. Just the workload.
That's real.
Right, yeah.
That's very real.
And, I was like, hang on a second, pump the brakes. What are you doing wrong? This is a good thing, but why are you stalling out? And it just came down to systems and processes. My background, athletics-wise, is cycling. I'm a multi-time national champion. I've won a ton of state championships in Florida. And there's a process to get to that level, right? There's steps you have to take in training and things like that. And I'm like, all right, we need to pump the brakes and put some systems and processes in place. So it was two-part. I got a CRM that had some automation, but also got an admin. That admin turned out to be really good and put her in production. And we just did, again, going back to the old brokerage, the way the brokerage worked with royalty fees and everything like that. We just kept it simple and did referrals.
And to be clear, you said CRM came first.
Yeah. CRM, admin, transaction coordinator, and that was huge. There was a learning process and everything like that, and then there's the whole steps of refining and scaling. I call it the infrastructure. Everyone's like, oh, you need a good foundation. Well, before the foundation goes down, you've got to have the infrastructure. So I did this with just me and my admin that she part-time dabbled in real estate, and we just did a referral fee. Just keeping it super simple. And I'm like, okay, I can do a team, but I'm in the wrong environment. So moved forward to signed up. Like I said, we started in March, 8th team member now, and we're at 22 pendings, and it's just chilling. You cannot just make sure you've got your right systems, processes, and infrastructure before you build it, because otherwise you're going to stall out. Your team members are going to get pissed off. They're going to get annoyed. They're like, this isn't what I was promised. So again, systems, processes, infrastructure, get the team members on. I don't particularly have it where you're just a buyer's agent. I specifically hate putting someone in a box. That's why we're all at side in the first place. And with the team members as well, we have an hour of power every morning. So we're prospecting. I'm a big believer. That's how I started. I didn't know anyone. I'm from another country. It was, I'm going to use my accent. Hopefully a nice old lady answers the phone, and she's an expired, and she just wants me to come and talk to her. And literally that expires and FISBOs.
They get lonely.
That's it. And sometimes they just want to have a 45-minute conversation on the phone about absolutely nothing. But
that's the person to ask who else is selling in the neighborhood, because they know everyone.
Right, exactly. And that's how it all started for me. So, foundation roots is team members pick up the phone, make calls.
So it was CRM, admin, TC. Was the transaction coordinator full-time and just focused on TC work, or what did their role look like?
Obviously this is the big change for me coming to Side is we've got our own TCs, right? But I used a company called Ferber Transactions that were based in Florida that had but essentially a virtual TC. Absolutely phenomenal, had no issues with them, whatever. They did a great job. They knew Loop, which I was using at the time, and everything was great. Can't speak a bad word about them. Moved to Side, and it's like, okay, I know the TC game. Find whatever the system, SkySlope, all the processes, have at it, let's roll. And that's the biggest thing I think that all the team members get is they're all controlled. We're all very similar with driver mentality.
We have a hard time letting go of things, whether it's a process or
Right.
communication, anything.
And then once the deal's done, they're like, oh my God, how have I never not had a TC before? Like, all right, let's keep up in the systems, the processes.
And as far as TCs, let's do the show of hands. Who here is actually using a side TC? Awesome.
Nice.
We did not at our team and we're down in Orange County. Our team's called Mint. We did not use a side TC for the initial probably 7 months. And the last few months of using a side TC, it truly feels like having, it's not even like a virtual assistant. They feel like a staff member.
Yeah.
Everything that they do, putting listings in the MLS for us. So that's been tremendously helpful, as I'm
Yeah,
sure
I
you've
think
come
that's
to
the
learn.
difference as well, being from Florida, is sides develop. You were kind of the guinea pigs, so
Yeah.
thank you.
You're
But
welcome.
it's it has to be a side TC. There's no other option for us in Florida.
Awesome. Yeah, I agree with that for sure. Ricky, what kind of offerings are making your team attractive? Whether it's systems, the coaching, accountability, is it the office? What do your offerings look like?
Well, the office doesn't really do much justice, but we still haven't really fully moved in, you know, because of course COVID hit. We started remodeling. No one goes back to the office. I mean, the office is kind of really for people just kind of show up, get some work done. I mean, the cabinets are fully stocked with tequila, so that's a good thing. But
Perfect.
but
How
no,
far
I
is it
would-
from here?
Well, I mean, all the tequila ran out last night. It may or
That
may
is
not have
true.
been my fault, but no, I think it was more than anything. I think the environment. I think it's the mentorship. I think at Boulevard we just have such a cohesive group, and we're all from different backgrounds. We're extremely diverse, but a lot of us at Boulevard, I mean, have been in real estate for, excluding myself, for at least 10 plus years. So I mean, we have the mentorship, the guidance, the guinea pigs per se. We've been through it all. We can teach our young agents to be very successful through the trials and tribulations we've been through. But more than anything, I think is the fact that I reinvest back into my agents. I don't just take a piece of their commission and send them on their merry way. I'm a firm believer that if I reinvest back into my agents, they're going to feel empowered to continue to do business. Obviously, we're going to have more transactions. We're going to hopefully try to get new clients and build upon our success. But it's, for me, it's every single transaction that my team members close. I reinvest $500 into whatever they want to do after closing, whether it's social media marketing, whether it's mailers to that neighborhood, mailers to their farm, whatever they want to do. In addition to that, just having them have all the systems that we already have in place. And also I set them up with their own personal social media manager who's going to help them have that presence online that they may not have the time to do. But I believe it's such a huge part of our business to be out there and show our wins, our losses, our journey through real estate, and be able to just portray that. And that, I think, within itself just shows how genuine you are as a person, and people gravitate towards that. I was told by a very top producer, also named Austin, that's in Southern California. I forget his last name, but he told me, and it kind of made me have an epiphany. He's like, there's over 1 billion people on this planet. If at least 1% of those people like you, you're gonna do a whole lot of damn business.
Oh, definitely. That's why it's always a thing we're close by each other. I don't think I've ever taken business from you, and vice versa. There's plenty of business to go around for everybody. I never really thought of making it to where at the end of a transaction, I mean, we reinvest. My business partner's sitting over there, Brian Hill, and one of our team members, Chelsea. We reinvest a lot into our team, but making it to where it almost is like a matching, it sounds like that you're doing, but you automate the process for them. You're not just giving them, here's $500. It's literally, choose from the menu, this is going out.
Right.
Very cool.
Right.
Okay. Khalid, what's the value add for someone that is joining your team when you're having that conversation, say with this agent that you sent that deal to, aside from giving her $30,000 checks, what's the value add?
Well, so my business model for my own business has been to have a value add for my clients. So I want to take that same mentality and apply it to my agents. I do so much for my clients. Nobody would believe me if I tell you. And when I bring people on, they're like, "Oh my gosh, you do that?" And I'm like, "Yes, I do." I even remodel their houses for them in order to help them get an extra $100,000. So I have all my own subcontractors. They only work for me. I do not give their names out to anyone, but my agents. And now they have access to that same thing where you're getting a relationship. I also incorporated being a woman, no offense to the guys, but I started in real estate. My daughter was in kindergarten, and I had a son in second grade. And it is very hard to juggle being the mom and the wife and the business owner. And my husband traveled all the time. And I don't think I've actually had a day off in at least 15 years. So one of the things I added was I said, okay, if you're part of my real estate company, I want you to commit to covering for someone else for 14 days out of the year. You can track it however you want to, but if somebody has to go away for the weekend, you cover for them, no hassle, no charge, no commission split, just you can rely on that person. They're gonna have the same work ethic you do, and they're gonna be able to take care of your client, because I feel like it's something we miss in real estate, and we're on 24/7. And my kids grew up with me doing this. That means don't come in the room. The phone rings in the car. Everybody has to be quiet because you need to take those calls right away. You need to be on. But I think somebody else said I forgot who it was, but they said they make their team take a whole week off. Oh, is that you?
That was Brian when he was on his panel yesterday.
Oh,
But
okay.
that's something that we coach with Cleve Gaddis. That's part of the Workman Success company. And when we first started coaching with him, he was challenging Brian and myself as far as how much time are you guys taking off? What does the team look like? Are you guys working constantly? And he challenged us to take more time off and say, I want you to do that with the team as well. So we created a calendar to where everyone, if you're going on vacation, you throw it on that calendar. And if it goes on the calendar, somebody is looking at that, whether it's Brian and myself, or we have our admin looking at it, and then you can kind of anticipate when somebody might need to step in and help. But as far as, I would imagine, are you having anyone actually tally days, or is it creating a culture to where you said you can keep track of the 14 days as you'd like? I wouldn't imagine anyone's actually tracking them. They're just
I don't
helping.
know. I think right now they are tracking them just because it's a new concept, right?
So this was implemented recently. This wasn't something that it was kind of a concept from the start.
No, it was.
Oh,
It
okay,
was.
cool.
But they, obviously, I'm the busiest agent still.
Yeah.
So they're covering for me right now. But no, I think they track it, but it does create this culture where they will say to each other, I actually have a really great agent right now who's in the middle of two good big transactions, and she's having very serious health issues. And she's a mom, she's young, and it's unexpected. And my entire team jumped up and said, we have your back. We will take this transaction
awesome.
from you, no strings attached. And yeah, and I think too, being here this week, this is my first conference with Side. And what I love is the other partners sharing with each other, because you learn so much. And as an agent, when you're on a team, you can create that same partnership and collaboration, and it makes a big difference.
It sometimes feels like you're trying to reinvent the wheel, and I'll get stuck in that personally, where we'll try to think of a new way of running a system or the listing process. I definitely have sat and built out a listing process for us, and then once I was kind of 3/4 of the way through, I went, why don't I just call one of the other partners and ask? And I don't know if all three of you guys have experienced it this week, but I've already had stuff sent to me of oh yeah, it's in your inbox when you get back, or we'll meet up after we get back, and I'll explain how we kind of map out our structure, or whatever it may be. So openness has been great.
Yeah, and I think for me, mentally, I have colleagues in my neighborhood that are my big competition. but we call each other colleagues and we work together, but we do not share our secrets. And so being here and having other big successful people say, here you go. Yeah, this is how I do it. That's how I do it. It's like a open environment that you can grow, and the agents can grow because of it. So I think it's really good.
Yeah, Melody Smith's over at Anvil, and she reprimanded us this morning because we were joking about beating them next year and making sure we get the award. And she's like, "This isn't a competition. We're partners." So and she's quite literally, we could walk to her office from our office. Like we're all in the same. I mean, she's right next to you as well. So that mentality is great. From as far as being with Side, kind of just a general, one of you guys kind of pick who would like to take it. What's been the biggest benefit growing a team or starting a team from Side? Something that they've offered you, or something, a system, tech, whatever it is. What's been the most helpful thing?
So for me, it's definitely been the recruiting department. I don't call any agents. I've given the recruiting department basically like, this is the personality traits, like the mentality, kind of like a checklist of the types of people I like to work with. And, it's like, hey, Darren, we've got so-and-so that's interested in meeting you. They send me their LinkedIn, kind of just give me a quick profile, their production, everything like that. And the main thing is, how can I help them, right?
Sure.
And goes from like Guy and everyone here, it's how can we help you? It's not about me. And that's been huge. So, and I was talking to one of the recruiters last night, and I was like, man, you guys do such a great job. You've probably got the hardest job. You're cold calling agents who absolutely hate these recruiting calls.
Yeah.
But you're doing it, you're finding the right talent, and essentially you're teeing it up. I'm going for coffee, and it's literally a vibe check. That's all it is.
You meet them for coffee.
Meet them for coffee, and they're like, tell me a little bit more, and we just talk business. But it's not even like, oh, how much do you want to make? It's literally, it's just a conversation. Like, do I like you? Yes or no? Do you like me? Yes or no? Great. Would you like to move forward, kind of thing? And then, but next thing you know, hey, Felix, who's one of my recruiters, like, send out the ICA. ICA goes out, comes back, and then once we get them into the office, it's goal setting. Because that's the other thing with teams. Let's all hold each other accountable. But for me, it's the recruiting department have just absolutely knocked it out of the park. And I know it's a new department with Inside.
So you're giving them a list. Are you giving them a list of agents specifically that you want them to speak with, or are you really just giving them kind of an avatar?
Like kind of an avatar, but initially we gave them a hit list, and they're still working on that hit list. And then everyone that comes on supplies a hit list, and they go after them. But they
Meaning the agents that you're bringing on.
Yep.
Oh wow.
Yeah, because that way it's like, okay, do you know someone that's a good fit? And I know I'll go back to the systems and the infrastructure. I know I've got the systems and the infrastructure to take the weight, so I'm not stalling out. Outside of pulling my credit card out and buying some more seats on the CRM or, my management tracking software, that's it. So, but for me, it's been the recruiting, and also I'll add the onboarding process for us is all that heavy lifting of getting that new agent set up, ready to rock and roll. It's like, all right, pick up the phone. Let's do some deals.
Have you noticed that the onboarding process has become a little bit more detailed and kind of pieced out since when you onboarded? Does it look a little different now?
Yeah, a little bit. It's definitely it's been refined, and I'm sure it's going to just keep getting refined.
Yeah, they've been putting a lot of work into it. We're onboarding 9 people right now, and we kind of broke it because we don't use the same systems. But the feedback from all 3 of you when we met before this was that the onboarding process has been great for you guys.
Yep, for sure, and that definitely makes it so much easier. That way I'm not. I like answering questions. I like being given questions, but it's
Prove it.
But it's not like a time suck.
Right.
On board, and I've done that all. So.
Very cool. I'm definitely stealing the new agent hit list. I mean, that's great. You figure just like what you were talking about earlier with the agent that you've worked with, you know that they're a good fit. that's kind of your hit list. You're not giving it to side, but you're speaking to them directly, and then you have yours. If you are recruiting correctly and you have the right person, I mean, has it been that the people that they're putting on that list tend to be a good fit as well?
Yeah, I mean, they've brought people that haven't been on the list, but they know the personality types. They know the fit. We've had enough Zoom calls that they know.
Yeah, they're looking
like
for the
what our
culture
culture is.
Sure.
And like I said, they've nailed it. I think we've only had one guy that came in, and I think one of the main recruiters was she went on maternity leave, so we lost like one of our recruiters, and someone filled in and didn't get the memo on like our culture and fit, and the guy comes saying, well, yeah, I'm interested, but my sister needs to come. She's 85, but she's inactive, but she has to come because she knows people in a condo building, and I'm not a team player, by the way. I'm like,
yeah, getting your
Okay, so
your
yeah.
avatar created and knowing what your culture is super important.
And since that's got refined, it's been amazing.
Very cool. Well, thank you. So we wanted to open it up to questions. If anybody has questions, you'd be able to get the microphone. So who's up first?
I'm pretty loud. I probably don't need a microphone. Just in case. Just in case. Hi. Thanks for sharing your stories with us. I'm Deborah Vance. I'm down in Imperial Beach. I'm really new with my launch, REunite Realty, and I'm a one-man show. It's just me. I have a TC, and I have a new assistant who's full-time. She just failed the test. She'll take it again to be my buyer's agent. I would like to know if one of you or all of you could give me your 60-second pitch when you're meeting an agent. I just met a new agent, and I wanted to give her a quick pitch on joining me, and I want to hear from you guys what you think are the highlights on why someone would want to join one of the founding partners.
Kali, I feel like this would be a good one for you initially, just because it sounds like she's solo. You've been solo at your start as well.
Yeah, and I will say it's a learning process, but I think the most important thing when you're talking to someone, it's just like when you go on a listing appointment, you compliment their home, right? Even if it's ugly, you find something about it that you love.
I don't know where this is going, but it could be good.
Well, when you meet another agent, like I said earlier, there's all kinds of agents. You can usually tell right away if they are professional, they're smart, they're someone you want or need on your team. So compliment them. Let them know that you see that in them. And then just invite them to a conversation. I have a few other agents that I know locally that they do maybe 10 million a year and they would like to grow more. And I've talked to them about it. One of them wants to join. Another one is actually, I found out, moving to Idaho. But he wants to join and send referrals here to us and us send referrals there to him. So I would say just have a conversation, but the thing that you can offer is this. This is a community. You have on your side, so to speak, and giving you tools constantly to improve your efficiency in your business. A lot of agents are not entrepreneurs. They are not meant to run their own business. They just want to do sales, and that is okay, and you can give them that. And then use their strengths. And like I said, I think complimenting them when you're talking to them.
I'd say one of the biggest things is we all tend to feel, and this seems to translate across the board, whether it's with clients or it's with agents. It's not about us telling them something because we don't know what that person necessarily wants or needs. You start talking about a bunch of tech and systems and lead gen, and the person is like, no, I have all that. I'm just looking for an office space or whatever their needs are. Ask the questions to make sure that you understand what their business is lacking and how you can help and kind of fill the gaps is probably the most important piece. And if you were at the talk this morning where Sharon went over kind of the I don't know what he called it, Brian, you know what that system was called, that sheet that Sharon gave us this morning? DOS, yeah. I've never seen that or used that before, but that's actually how I interview agents when they come into our office. So just asking those questions is important.
I would also just invite them to a side event. These things are amazing. They'll want to join after they come to one of these for sure.
You got to cover their hotel room? Or do they stay with you?
You're asking me personally? Well, yeah, of course. I invite them to come, and I of course have room and board and stuff like that. But I mean, after I think my agents could tell you today, I think they're even more excited to be a part of the team now because of what Side has to offer.
Absolutely. And there are a lot of people that are not side partners now that they did that exact same thing. Side invited people where they knew they were a good fit and they just aren't ready to make that leap.
Yeah.
But any other questions? Right in the back. Are we going to get cut off right at when this thing goes?
I think I can speak loud enough without a microphone.
Okay.
My daughter could probably qualify that. This is great in terms of developing personnel, but what about the more sensitive topics of who do you give it a lead to? How do you decide what leads to give? How do you incentivize performance as it relates to compensation structure? I mean, it's great. This is great for the soft skills, but what about the hard stuff of actually like determining who gets a lead, how you generate those leads, how do you keep them coming, and how you keep that agent on a forward-moving trajectory so that they continue to want to grow with you?
Yeah, that's a great question. I literally was just about to say, I think
Yeah.
Darren would probably be a good one to answer.
So again, this goes down to before you start your team, have your infrastructure, foundations, systems, and processes ready to go.
Rip them off from somebody else first.
Yeah. And like I said, more than happy to tell you, but give you my playbook, right? Who gets what lead? First of all, there should be no favoritism on any team.
Right.
Use
Some
Boomtown.
people can close and some people can't. So yeah.
So the ones that can't shouldn't be on your team. The ones that can't, and I don't mean that in like a joking way. That's something that we all struggle with as far as the people that can convert and the people that can't. I've seen it in teams, and we've tried it previously that you can even separate it based on maybe price point. I'd say geographically, that Ricky probably is going to do most of his stuff geographically, but do you break it down by price
do
point?
a similar thing to Ricky. We have we cast a big net. So I've got. I just saw Marie. See, Marie. She handles like Punta Gorda down to like the Naples area, right? So from the way I've got the leads set up, when it's coming from a location or a city, I don't want to touch Naples. That's too far away from me. Marie can get it, right? The system is automated. That way, I'm not favoriting anyone because one, I don't want the lead that's an hour away. Yeah, like Ricky, it's not worth my time's not a good way of putting it, but that time in the car, I could be doing other money-making activities.
Could be better spent, and
Yeah.
it's not great for the client either.
Exactly. And I don't know the area as well as Marie does, right? So there's that way. If you're being super hyper-local, you have your system set up to round robin it. And then you track, if you're not tracking how many calls your agents are making a day, how many conversations they're making, how many appointments they're set. Business is math. You need to track all this stuff, right? And if that agent is not performing, then you can then change the weight. It's called, in the system I use, it's a weight of how many leads that agent will get. It will get reduced down. I don't do that. My guys are killer at setting up appointments and working the leads. Could we do better? Yes, but you've got to remember, especially for online leads, it's top of funnel. Some people are ready to go in 60, 90 days. Other people are a year, 2, 3 years out. So again, that's working the CRM and just utilizing your systems correctly. But a team lead should never give favoritism to anyone. That's how you piss your team off.
Yeah, you end up upsetting people with it. Everyone kind of deals with that, trying to figure out how to delegate leads. You have closers, you have people that have a hard time with it. Inevitably, and I feel like this is with every team we've ever talked to, they figure out some way to get follow-up and the conversion off of the agent's plate. Agents aren't going to call. They just aren't. And as soon as they get busy enough, then they're definitely not going to call as much as you probably want them to, spending money on the leads for those agents. So we end up kind of outsourcing that, and eventually it either is an ISA or some sort of, I know you're working with the company
I
right
just
now.
started with an ISA to take that step to keep leads hotter. Like I said, we started in March. We're at 22 pendings in the last 6 weeks.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Simplifying the process.
Everyone's busy, so let's now have leads nurtured and let's open the oven and pull the bun out, right? Versus making the dough.
Yeah, don't give them the ingredients, give them the finished product.
Yep.
That does make it to where it's a little bit more of an even playing field. You don't have somebody that's going to generally far exceed everybody else on the team. If you're simplifying the process and making it to where those leads or those people are nurtured all the way to an appointment or an opportunity, it creates a little bit more of an even playing field, so there's no need to even do the favoritism. The only favoritism I think we ever play is we tell people, our agents, if you show up, you do the work, and you're going above and beyond, if there's some sort of kind of extra lead opportunity, if you're in the office and you're putting out to work, then they're going to get kind of first crack at it.
What's an ISA?
Inside sales agent.
Thank you. Okay.
So how much time do we have? I know this is about to run out.
Do one more question.
Okay, let's do one more question. Oh, no, right here. She actually had her hand up earlier.
Thank you. I'm
course.
Lauren Ronan with Pacific Oak. I'm located in South County, right below San Jose. And what I want to know is what mistakes have you made while growing a team? Or if you could tell someone who is just starting their team, what to avoid or anything that you regret, I would love to know.
It's a good question. Who wants to take
I can
it?
start with that. Well, I feel like everybody makes mistakes and we learn from them, right? And it's a good question to ask because of it. And I adore you. I met her here. You're going to be a killer agent and team, so I'm happy you're here. The biggest mistake I made was taking on too many new people that don't know anything about real estate but want to be a realtor. There's a lot of moms out there that will come and say, I want to be on your team and I want to be, part of you. Well, it just takes too much away from me. And I can only handle one of those at a time, maybe two. And I learned what I have to do with those people is I have what I call feet on the ground. So those moms who want to become realtors, I call them my feet on the ground. They become an assistant. They shadow me. I learn to ask the question, are you available to help me with this house? That's also how I distribute my leads on my team. Are you available to take this lead? Can I hand it to you? Because I'm a big agent who has too much volume. I can't physically handle anymore. So I have to tell a client who's calling me and wants me to sell their house that I'm going to hand them off. So the way that I'm doing that is I bring them with me to the appointment when they say they're available. We're gonna partner on your house. We do it together. They don't feel like I slighted them. But then I let the other agent run with the deal, and then the client feels like I'm doing both. And the next time, maybe they call him. I have changed. It's hard to go from being your name to branding. That takes a process and time. So I would say for me, the biggest mistake was taking on too many newbies that don't know what they're doing, and they suck your time, and then I'm not even giving them business because they can't do it. So hiring a balance of people that are experienced. They don't have to be superstars. They can just be good agents that's done 3 or 4 deals.
Yeah, know how to write a contract.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that's very specific. We've gone back and forth with that. Initially, we weren't going to do any new agents. We only wanted agents doing at least $5 million in production the previous year, and now we've really opened up to having those newer agents. And you're right, if you do not have the time or the processes or the infrastructure and staff to be able to train those agents, they fail pretty quick. So making sure that you know what you're going to do. Are you the new agent, Brian?
No, I had a question.
Oh.
Just a quick one.
No, okay.
Austin, how much of the success of your real estate would you say your co-founder is responsible for?
That's a big question.
Well, we used your volume to go over to side, and then from there, couldn't tell you.
Now, real quick, because I'm looking at, obviously, the screen, and it says, founder, founder, founder. We can't hear. Sorry. It says founder, 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 and then co-founder for all. I asked this question to a lot of the partner agents. Would you ever consider bringing on a true partner into your business?
100%.
So the question was, would you ever bring a co-founder into your business if they were the right fit?
100%. Because if I'm able to teach someone to be just as successful as I am, that person's going to then teach everyone else. So you have to find that right person that does things better than you can in certain regards. You know what I mean? You can't be perfect and good at everything. So if you have someone that has that balance, that can help you, maybe even push you, grow the team even bigger, that should be your partner. That should be your co-founder. That's the person that's going to take the team to the next level.
Definitely. Awesome. Well, is that it for us? Yes, that is. Great. Thank you guys very much for coming.
Thank you.